Thank you. I'm Idan, product manager in Microsoft Defender, and today we'll talk about SaaS Security Posture Management, aka SSPM, with Microsoft. And before talking about SaaS Security Posture Management, let's talk about SaaS and how to secure SaaS in a broader sense. So first of all, when we're talking about SaaS applications, we see a trend that more and more organizations are going to use SaaS all the time. It's not new, it's in the last few years, and we see it more and more all the time. More organizations are going to use SaaS application. A lot of organizations are currently using SaaS applications, and with this, we are seeing more attacks about that they directed to SaaS application. If it's security attacks that are related only to SaaS application, security attack that SaaS application are only part of the security vector, or attacks, for example, for example, you have a source code that was leaked from specific repository, from specific SaaS application that contained code. So with this word today, we need to understand how we protect all the time our SaaS application for attacks that are purely SaaS attacks, or for attacks that combined different workloads, including SaaS. And how we are approaching this. Before talking about SaaS Security Posture Management, let's see how in Microsoft we approach the SaaS security problem. First of all, the most important thing is to discover which SaaS applications are being used in your organization. The visibility. You want to know which users are using which SaaS application, from which devices, in what volume traffic. And for every SaaS application in Microsoft, we support all the risk parameter for the different SaaS. For example, security parameters and compliance parameters. Things like ISO 27101 if it's being supported in specific SaaS application, or if the application itself is supported with multi-factor authentication. When you discover your SaaS application in your organization by Microsoft tools, you will get more than 40 risk parameters that are being supported today in our tool, in Microsoft Defender. After you have the visibility of all the applications that are being used in your organization, from which user, from which devices, and in what timestamp, you can decide exactly which application to approve, to allow in your organization to be used, and which application to block. After you allow the application that you think that are okay within your compliance regulatories and with your security policies, you can decide if you want to have more protection to the SaaS application that you allowed. How do you do it? By our connector, by Microsoft connectors. In Microsoft, we develop specific connectors to specific application, to the most important application that has your sensitive information. For example, Slack, Salesforce, Dropbox, Teams, and GitHub, ServiceNow. Of course, Office 365, you'll get it all the protection with Microsoft Defender. So we have 25 connectors to those applications that have the most important sensitive information of your organization. And once you connect to these applications, you get three things. First of all, the first capability, the capability from the right, continuous threat detection. This is detect the suspicious activities, anomalous activities in your applications. If it's impossible traveler, if you sign in from GitHub, if user sign in from GitHub in New York and 2 minutes afterwards you sign into Slack in San Francisco, you will be alerted, and you can remediate, and you can even require multi-factor authentication, or suspend this user, or just be alerted to do investigation. Say detections like unusual file download, unusual file sharing, or multiple failed logins. All these kind of detections are built in once you connected the applications to Microsoft via our connectors. In addition, you can create your own policy in order to detect specific activities that you decide that are malicious or suspicious activities. So this is The first capability, once you connect to these applications. The second capability, the most left capability, the information protection. So in the application that you connect Microsoft to, you get protection on your information, your sensitive information. And how do we do it? You define exactly what are the sensitive information that you want to detect. And once you specify exactly what is this sensitive information, we scan this information in the SaaS application, and once scanned, you are being informed where exactly the sensitive information is, and you can also configure governance on these file violation. For example, labeling the file, encrypt the file, putting the file on quarantine, delete the file, or just be alerted. So this is the second capability once you connect the application to Microsoft. The third capability, and this will be the focus of today webinar, is the posture visibility. And this is a new capability that we launched a few months ago. And this capability mainly gives you, first of all, visibility of which are the configurations that are misconfigured in your organization in terms of security. So if you have a security configurations that currently are in risky manner, or risky security configurations, Microsoft will tell you, hey, this is your misconfiguration in these SaaS applications, and will give you step-by-step guide how to remediate every misconfiguration that Microsoft finds. So 3 capabilities you will get once you connect the allowed applications to your Microsoft Defender. And as I mentioned, we have today 25 connectors that protect these 25 applications. Applications like Atlassian, Smartsheet, Office 365, DocuSign, Ignite, different kind of application that once you connect it, you will get all these 3 capabilities: threat detection, data leakage protection, and security posture management. And when focusing on security posture management, in terms of SaaS SSPM, you will get, first of all, visibility. That's what I talked 2 slides ago. And then the step-by-step guides how to get the security posture in the right way for every misconfiguration that you have. After you get all the misconfiguration in your environment, in all the different kind of size of environment, you can review it and you can share these assessments with the application's owner, because Salesforce application owner or Ignite application owner, it's not the same owner that looks today at the security of the SaaS posture. So you want to share all these security assessments with the different applications owner, and once you share it, they can immediately remediate these security misconfigurations. I will now show a short demonstration of how this capability is being supported in Microsoft, and afterward how you can configure it in your environment. First of all, when you enter to Microsoft 365 Defender, you can enter to Secure Score, and Microsoft Secure Score gives you today not only the Secure Score for SaaS application, but Secure Score to different kind of workloads, to endpoint workloads, to how Microsoft security products are being implemented, if they are well configured in your environment, and of course the SaaS score, if your SaaS is configured properly, and then you see the score for these SaaS applications. When you enter to Secure Score, you will see immediately what is your score. Here is 66.6%, and when you will see the actions to review, you can see what are the top recommended actions by priority of the score impact. If you will see here in this demo environment, you can see require multi-factor authentication, MFA, for administrative roles. And this is, of course, a really important and significant assessment, because this assessment will mainly enforce in all your administrative roles within your application the multi-factor authentication. When entering to the recommended actions in Microsoft Secure Score, the second tab, you can see all the assessments that Microsoft recommends you to enforce in your environment. And if you will filter by product, the last column from the right, you can filter out the SaaS application that you want. So now we filter out in this screenshot the Salesforce application, and you will see at the top the assessments that needed to be addressed, aka these assessments right now are not completed, and you need to make sure that these assessments will be completed because right now they are in a risky manner. And at the bottom, the last three assessments in this screenshot, you will see that these assessments are being completed and they are in secured manner. So from the last assessment, for example, forced logout on session timeout is being completed. This means that in Salesforce environment that is connected to this Microsoft 365 Defender, the configuration of session timeout to enforce logout once the session is being timeout is being enabled. And this is exactly what today Microsoft is recommending, and also Salesforce is recommending, because in Microsoft Secure Score we took the Salesforce health check security health check recommendation. That is the Salesforce benchmark. You can call it like this: the Salesforce benchmark, the Salesforce recommendation for what are the most security assessment or configuration that needed to be in your environment. In the top, the most top assessment, you can see require identity verification during multi-factor authentication. That is multi-factor authentication, whether it's enabled in your organization or disabled. And once we will enter to this assessment, when you will click on it, a side pane will be open, and a description of what is multi-factor authentication will be shown. What is the status of multi-factor authentication in this Salesforce environment is here. You will see multi-factor authentication enabled status is false right now. What is the user impact once you enable this multi-factor authentication configuration? And when entering to the second tab, the implementation tab, you will see step-by-step remediation guide how to enable the multi-factor authentication in the Salesforce organization. And it will be like this in every other assessment. How to remediate, step by step, how to remediate this assessment, this recommendation in your Salesforce environment. And when clicking on the Learn More link, you will get redirected to the Salesforce page, official documentation of the specific assessment that we're talking about. Here is the multi-factor authentication in Salesforce. If it is session timeout, it will redirect you to the page of session timeout official documentation, etc. When looking on these steps and entering to Salesforce, here you will see Salesforce environment that is connected to this Microsoft 365 Defender. So here you will see that the require identity verification during multi-factor authentication, MFA registration, is being disabled. And when clicking and enable this configuration, this will enforce multi-factor authentication in your Salesforce environment. A side note: if your organization using SSO, so you don't need this multi-factor authentication, but it's not totally true, because most of the organization that we are seeing using SSO, but in parallel that they use SSO, there are users that don't use SSO in Salesforce or different SaaS application. So in most organization that we see, there is SSO users that use the SaaS application, and there is non-SSO users. So mostly you want to make sure that when you're using identity provider, so there is multi-factor authentication via the SSO, and for non-SSO users, you will have multi-factor authentication configured in the SaaS application itself. returning to the main flow of the demonstration, not particularly to the multi-factor authentication node. So when you configured and enabled multi-factor authentication in this Salesforce environment, you will see in the secure score page that require identity verification during multi-factor authentication registration is being completed right now. And when entering to this assessment, you will see here that multi-factor authentication enabled status is true. And when you will enter to secure score page, the main dashboard, you will see that the secure score was increased because we are now more secured within this configuration in Salesforce. So how you configure this connector with the SaaS Security Posture Management capabilities. Today, once you will go to Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps, that you can go to it via the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Application portal or via the public preview of Microsoft 365 Defender portal that includes today the pages of Microsoft Defender for Cloud Apps. You can connect Salesforce or connect ServiceNow. And once you connect to them, so you will not only get the threat detection, the suspicious activities, behavior detections, or the information protection, the two capabilities that already been today. So you will get also the SSPM, the SaaS Security Posture Management capabilities out of the box. You don't need to do nothing once you connect Salesforce and ServiceNow to your Microsoft Defender for Cloud Applications environment. If you already have connectors to Salesforce and ServiceNow, you don't need to do anything. It's automatically being configured to be shown with all the SSPM, all the SaaS Security Posture Management in secure score pages. So if you already have connector to Salesforce and ServiceNow, you just need to go to secure score, filter out by Salesforce ServiceNow products, and you will get all the assessments for Salesforce and ServiceNow. Before going to the roadmap, just a side note that right now we support Salesforce, ServiceNow, and Office 365 applications with SaaS Security Posture Management. And the new capabilities that we are going to launch in the future are, first of all, and the most important, adding more applications to cover with SaaS Security Posture Management. So today we already have connectors to GitHub, to Zoom, to Slack, to Okta, to Google Workspace, and many other applications. And these connectors give you the two capabilities, the threat detection capabilities in order to detect suspicious activities and anomalous behavior activities, and the information protection in order to prevent data leaks. So in those connectors, we are planning to add the SSPM, the SaaS Security Posture Management capabilities within the current capabilities of the connector. So on top of this, you will get the SaaS Posture Management capabilities. After not like the second capability that we are launching also, and you will see it in the future, is more Office 365 assessments. Due to the fact that we see that a lot of users have many applications of Office 365, and we see that every application in Office 365 has its own configuration and needed its own assessment. So one of the for the most important thing that we are adding is the Office 365 assessment in Secure Score. So in addition, for this, you don't need to do anything. If you today have Secure Score, you are getting the Office 365 assessment, and you will be announced that more assessments are to come every time that we add more assessments. And two things for the last in our current roadmap is benchmarks. Today you will see the Microsoft benchmark, and in the future we will add benchmark like CIS and other different kind of benchmarks, and you will be able to see the cost to create your own customized benchmarks and be able to say, hey, these assessments are important to me. These assessments are not important to me. I want to see the score only for the benchmark that I am interested in. And the fourth thing is the easy reporting to applications admin. As we said at the beginning, Salesforce admin, ServiceNow admin, Slack admin, GitHub admin, not seeing all the security configurations all the time that they enter to their environment. Not because they don't want to, because they prioritize it differently, because they prioritize their productivity all the time. And once you will enter to Secure Score, today you can share all these assessments with the applications owner. So you can share, hey, all these 25 assessment that I want you, Salesforce owner, to configure properly. Now I share it with you, and you can see exactly what are the configurations that need to be enforced. And in the future, we are planning to add more easy reporting mechanism. Today, you can report it by exporting, by mail, and by Teams. And in the future, we are planning to add more reporting capabilities. And so, to summary, today you can see the SaaS Security Posture Management capabilities in Salesforce and ServiceNow and in Office 365. What does it mean? That you have the visibility to see every misconfiguration that is being configured in the Salesforce and ServiceNow and Office 365 environment. Once you enter to every assessment, you can see the step-by-step remediation guide to resolve every security misconfiguration. And if you want, you can share and collaborate all these security misconfiguration and step-by-step guide with the applications owner. And to get started, once you need to have first you need to have the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Application, and then connect the Microsoft Defender for Cloud Applications connector. If it's to ServiceNow or to Salesforce, for Office 365, you get it out of the box. These Salesforce and ServiceNow connectors are very easy to deploy and works very easily once you give the consent to Microsoft Defender for Cloud Applications to get this data. And in the future, you will be announced all the preview application and the new capabilities that will launch. I will pause for question right now.
I'm going to introduce Caroline, who will take over the Q&A and share a little bit what has been asked, and also audience, please. Now is your time to get your questions again answered in real time. Use the Q&A button.
Awesome. Thank you, Heike. So I'm just going to repeat some good questions that came out of the chat, which was, what are the supported SaaS applications that can be leveraged with SSPM today? Idan also touched on this, but it's ServiceNow, Salesforce, and Office 365. Will the reporting surface in the Defender portal? Just to clarify, this is the Microsoft 365 Defender portal, and yes, it will be surfaced there. And then Idan, maybe this is more for you, but we did have some engagement on a couple of more requested applications that they want to see SSPM for. So we have Twitter, LinkedIn, Discord, and Jira. I'm not sure if those were mentioned on the slide. I can't remember all of them, but.
So Cisco, Zoom, and Atlassian, yes, they're in the roadmap list. Twitter and LinkedIn currently is under consideration.
Great. Xero, an accounting application. This is the first time hearing about this one, but very good to know.
Yeah, noted and will be considered.
Perfect. And let me just double check all of the questions here. It looks like we got most of them, so maybe we'll take another minute or so for any burning questions. Otherwise, we could probably give some time back. Yeah.
So yeah, and as a reminder, if you have a question after the fact, now that we all leave the call and suddenly all the questions come up, please use our tech community forum at aka.ms/m365dtc, and all the questions will be answered then over there. Good. So first of all, of course, thank you so much, Idan. A few reminders before ending the call. Again, recordings and slides will be made available at aka.ms/security-webinars. And join our community at aka.ms/security-community. Look at the Microsoft 365 Defender Forum, the same link that I mentioned before, aka.ms/m365dtc. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed our shorter webinar. Thank you so much, Idan, for today's webinar. Thank you to the rest of the team who helped answer all the questions in the back end. And most of all, I want to thank you all for being part of our community, for joining us on those webinars, and I hope to see you next time again. Goodbye.